Hey everybody, so I'm going to do a modification of a Husqvarna felling wedge to use for a suspension beefing up, I guess if you will, on my 2017 Ram 3500 dually. This mod actually originates from Kenny of All Trades on YouTube. You know, just a really awesome modification. What he does is he takes and drills a hole through the top of the felling wedge, to the bottom, cuts a relief for a bolt to sit in there, and then you shove this guy right down. Let's see if I can do this real quick here. I don't want to get too long in this video. Basically, this guy goes through this hole right here, the bolt, and it goes right into your underneath your lowest leaf spring and between the lowest leaf spring and the overload. And what that'll do is it'll decrease the amount of squat that you get out of this rear end of this truck when you load her up heavy. So my modification that I do on Kenny's original is just drill a few holes. Drill 3 holes laterally through the side of this block, and then drill another one right through the end of it. If I had to guess, I'm probably somewhere around 1/8 of an inch drill bit or something like that. All I'm trying to do is make a path for a zip tie to go through there. So we already got this hole here, so you'll need to drill, say, just drill a 1/2 inch hole all the way through, right on center in the correct spot. You'll have to measure it out. Looks like my hole is right at about 1.25 inches down on that. I don't have my tape measure handy, but anyway. And then these are just kind of randomly thrown in there. Just you'll see in a second what those are for. They're for zip ties to go through. 2 of them will go through here and both pop out the bottom, and then you'll have 1, 2, 3 in here that will wrap around your lower overload spring. All right, so before I put it in there, I'm going to take these long zip ties. These are about 1 foot long or so. I'm going to run that thing all the way through from side to side laterally, get it ready to roll. Let's throw all 3 of those in. We have 3 of them that are about roughly 1 foot long. I think this is 8 inches long or 9 inches long on this Husqvarna felling wedge. You can buy them on Amazon in a 3-pack. So you'll need to buy 4 total for your vehicle, because you got 1 up here on the rear and 1 on the back side also. So now let's take some shorter zip ties and we will run those through the front of this felling wedge through here and out this hole. So hang on. All right, so try to configure it so that when I do my zipping, everything is oriented the correct way, ready to pull through. These ones can be even shorter than these, but I like to use the thicker. The thicker they use on this, the better, actually. So there you go. So you have 2 of them coming through the end, out this bottom hole, however big, drill it at least 1/2 of an inch. That'll suit you just fine. And then these guys somewhere around 1/8 of an inch, whatever the right size is to get your zip ties through. Let me get this into lay down on this hard concrete and I'll show you what we're talking about here. All right, so there's a hole in this leaf spring already right here, and what you want to do first is take your 2 that come out the bottom, feed them through that hole, and just get that into position. That is the basic, the layout. That's exactly how it's going to sit when we're all done here. Now have 1 of your holes here just in front of that bundle of 2, and just get it started. So this guy, if everything lets go, isn't really doing much at all where it's at. It's just barely hanging on that lip, right? So we're depending on these guys to kind of hold it in place. This next one here, that one I'm going to go behind those other ones for no real reason. And then the 3rd one will also be to the rear of everything else. What's on the bottom? We go with the pink one here. And you can plasti dip this orange black, whatever you want to do to make it invisible, because you're always ever going to see that stuff. Alright, so now let's let's tighten our front ones first, and you want this zip tie lead edge right at that 90-degree turn, right there at that lip. So that'll be a point of no tension, relatively low tension, basically. All right, so it's about as tight as those want to go. I don't want to break them, of course. I don't want to compromise their integrity. Now, when we tighten these lateral ones, put it on this outside edge of here. So there's a kind of a rounded surface there. So that should be a non-sharp edge for that to fall. And I cannot go, you can't go forward to back. You can barely go left to right. Might be a little, yeah, there's one more click. So we're just going to be sitting in there forever until these two would have to break in order for these to slide out. So that's why I'm doing redundancy on the front. I want to double up on those, or get a bigger, beefier one up on this front side. Something that you just feel isn't going to break off on you, and you're going to be good to go for thousands and thousands of miles. Once you let that rear tire down, there's so much weight on there, it ain't going to move. It ain't going to budge a millimeter. So let's clean up our work. And again, Kenny of all trades and Runaway Roses on YouTube, thank you both so very much for this modification. It's a poor man's version of something that you can pay for a production model on and stuff, and it looks a lot cleaner, and you can kind of flip it out of the way pretty quick and easy without having to do what I'm doing here. So basically, if you're on a budget and want to try this out to see if it's going to work for you, this is a really cheap way of doing it. All right, so then let's time this one to see how long it takes basically to get set up once I get the hole drilled in there anyway, because that'll simulate how long this is going to take on the road minus, jacking up the rear end. All right, so timing starting basically now, but if you prep these before you ever took off, of course, it's going to take a little bit less time than this. So, my plan is just to have these in my vehicle, and if I decide to go camping, I'll probably just leave them in the camper. I have a jack there in my camper, so I'll just pop these guys on and load up. So this is about how long I can expect of a delay over at my storage unit. Let's say here. So whatever this is times 4, right? Let's see, what are some shorties? No need to waste these long ones. Let's use some short ones. We'll do a variety of colors, that's for sure. All right. I'll get that one to pop through the bottom here. A little bend in it. Very nice. And then one more. Throw a little bend in there downward. All right, so we're all set up. Oh, crawl my old knees into here. Again, get these through that hole in your lower overload first. And I'm gonna crawl underneath this grimy vehicle. Boy. Get my body out of the way in case this thing crashes on me. All right, let's set the front lateral first. Obviously this would not be fun if it was raining, right? All right, now one of the two fronts. That started. The other front. You know what? I'm going to do this one a little different. Let's put the second lateral on next. And oops, that is not zipping. What I got going on here. There it is. then I'm going to bind that one with the second front one. All right, and then my rear lateral. Okay, let's tighten up the two fronts. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that second lateral where I ended up putting it. Let's undo that guy here. Let's cut that one up. I do not like the second forwardmost lateral being impinged by the front to back zip ties. That just puts it in a kind of a wonky position to me. Easy enough to redo, that's for sure. And of course I'll check on these, you know, every couple thousand miles, and you can add a zip tie when one breaks off. I don't expect any of these zip ties to break off annually, but probably want to replace them once a year, you know, freshen them up for dry rot or whatever happens to zip ties. And that is money. That's it. Snip off the ends. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so we're done. Whatever that time was on the clock there, and she is in place. So multiply that by 4, add a couple more minutes in there, another 10 minutes for setup, and you are done, my friend. Good luck to you. Happy camping. When I dropped her down, that's where she sits. It's just gonna stay there. It's just sandwiched in. There's so much tension on that. It just doesn't move. So there you go.